Commander Jack Nelson walked through the grand hallways of the Galactic Council headquarters. His boots made soft sounds on the polished stone floor. Today was going to be hard, but he knew what he had to do. For 75 years, humans had been the newest members of the Council. For 10 of those years, Jack had been Earth's voice here among the stars. 10 years of being ignored. 10 years of fake smiles from alien faces. 10 years of getting nowhere. Jack straightened his blue uniform and touched the Earth patch on his shoulder. The weight of his home planet's future rested on him today. "Commander Nelson, the Council is ready for you," said a small green alien with 6 arms. This was Zip, one of the few aliens who treated Jack with real respect. "Thanks, Zip. Wish me luck," Jack said. "May your words find fertile ground," Zip replied, using a common saying from his homeworld. Jack entered the massive council chamber. 42 seats arranged in a wide circle, each filled by a different alien species. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Jack still found it hard to look at them directly. All of them thought they were better than humans. Jack took his place at the speaking platform. Above him, the artificial sky of the chamber showed stars from all member worlds. Earth's sun was the smallest dot, placed in the far corner. Even this was an insult. "The representative from Earth may address the Council," announced Zorthax, the Council chairman. His purple skin shone under the lights, and his 4 eyes blinked in a pattern that Jack had learned meant boredom. "Thank you, Chairman," Jack began. "I come before the Council today to discuss the Salaxian proposal to reclassify Earth as a developing protectorate." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The large, beetle-like Salaxian representative clicked his mandibles in what Jack knew was their version of a smug smile. "This proposal is simply the latest in a long line of actions designed to keep humanity from having an equal voice," Jack continued. "For 75 years, we have been denied access to Level 3 technologies. We have been blocked from the most profitable trade routes. Our art and music is taken and sold across the galaxy, but we see none of the profits." "Commander Nelson," interrupted Zorthax, "this body has been more than patient with Earth's unique development path. The protectorate status is for your own protection." Jack felt his face grow hot. "Protection? Is that what you call it when the Dracon Collective is allowed to set up mining operations on Mars without our permission? Is it protection when our medical discoveries are classified as primitive here, but sold for high prices in the outer systems?" "You misunderstand the complexities of galactic economics," said the Salaxian representative. "Your species is simply too young to grasp." "Too young." Jack's voice rose. "We have built ships that cross the stars. We have cured diseases that plagued us for thousands of years. We have made art that moves even non-human species to what they call emotions. And yet you still treat us like children." Jack pulled out a small data device from his pocket. The room went quiet. Everyone knew what it was. "I have here Earth's formal withdrawal from the Galactic Council, signed by our world government." Gasps and shouts filled the room. No species had left the Council in over 300 years. "Commander, this is a rash action that," started Zorthax. "It is not rash. It is long overdue," Jack said firmly. "For decades we tried to work within your rules. We smiled when you looked down on us. We said thank you when you gave us scraps. No more." Jack placed the device on the platform where it glowed blue, confirming its authenticity. "Earth will forge its own path among the stars. We would rather stand alone than kneel forever." The silence in the room was complete. 42 different species stared at Jack. Some with shock, others with anger, a few with what might have been respect. Jack turned and walked toward the exit. Behind him, the Council erupted into chaos. As the doors closed behind him, he let out a long breath. Zip was waiting outside. What did they say? Jack smiled for the first time that day. They didn't say anything. But they're about to learn that humans don't give up, and we don't stay down. His steps were lighter as he headed back to his ship. The hard part was just beginning. But for now, Earth was free. The shuttle landed smoothly at Washington Spaceport. Jack stepped out into the bright sunlight of an Earth summer day. After 3 weeks in space, the fresh air felt good in his lungs. A small group waited for him near the landing pad. "Welcome home, Commander," said Defense Secretary Linda Hoffman. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, and her eyes showed she hadn't slept much. "The President is waiting for your report." Jack nodded and fell into step beside her. 2 security officers walked in front, 2 behind. News of Earth's withdrawal from the Galactic Council had spread quickly. Not everyone was happy about it. "How bad is it?" Jack asked. "Could be worse," Linda said. "The markets dropped at first, but they're already starting to recover. The public is divided. Some think we made a huge mistake. Others are waving flags in the streets." They climbed into a waiting car. As they drove through the city, Jack saw both sides of the reaction. A small group of protesters held signs that read "Return to the Stars" and "Don't Isolate Earth." But they passed many more people cheering and giving thumbs up to the government cars. "The Vice President thinks we should try to negotiate our way back in," Linda said. "Alan always wants to play it safe," Jack replied. "But the Council would never let us back in as equals. That's the whole problem." The car pulled up to the White House. Inside, they went straight to the Oval Office. President Susan Taylor stood as they entered. Her face was tired but determined. "Jack," she said, shaking his hand, "you caused quite a stir up there." "Just deliver the message we agreed on, Madam President." Vice President Alan Garner sat in one of the chairs. He didn't stand or offer his hand. "We agreed to threaten withdrawal," he said, "not actually do it." Jack started to respond, but President Taylor held up her hand. "What's done is done. Now we need to deal with the consequences." She turned to a screen on the wall and pressed a button. "Dr. Wright, please join us." The screen lit up to show a woman in a lab coat. Dr. Olivia Wright had been Earth's top scientist for over a decade. Her dark skin contrasted with the white lab coat and the silver streaks in her hair. "Commander Nelson," she said with a smile, "good timing on your part. We just had a breakthrough yesterday." "Show them, Doctor," said the President. Dr. Wright pressed something off screen. The 3D image appeared in the middle of the Oval Office. It showed what looked like a spaceship engine. "This is our new FTL drive," she said. "Faster than light travel without using the Council's approved designs." Jack stepped closer to the image. "But the Council said humans couldn't build FTL drives on our own, that our brains couldn't understand the math." Dr. Wright laughed. "They lied. We've been reverse engineering their tech for years. This new drive is better than anything they've shared with us. It uses less fuel and can navigate routes they claim are impossible." "How soon can we put it in a ship?" asked Linda. 3 months for the first test flight. 6 months for full production if all goes well." President Taylor turned to Jack. "This is why we left the Council. They'd been holding us back, treating us like children. No more." Later that evening, Jack stood on the balcony of his apartment, looking up at the stars. His phone buzzed with a message from Linda. "Turn on the news." He went inside and switched on his TV. President Taylor was addressing the world. "People of Earth," she said, "today marks the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. For too long, we have accepted less than we deserve from the galactic community. They expected us to be good little children, grateful for whatever scraps they offered. They never understood what makes humans different, our adaptability, our persistence, and our refusal to accept artificial limitations." Jack smiled as he listened. The path ahead would be hard, but for the first time in years, he felt real hope for humanity's future among the stars. Not as junior partners or servants, but as equals. Earth was on its own now, but somehow, that felt more like freedom than isolation. On the Galactic Council's main world, Zorthax stared out the window of his private chamber. The news was spreading fast. 3 more species had asked for emergency meetings to discuss their own status in the Council. The humans had started something unexpected. "Chairman, "The Nebulon delegation is demanding to see you," said his aide. Zorthax sighed. The Nebulons were a small, gas-based species who had been in the Council for over 200 years. They had always been quiet, accepting whatever the larger species decided. "Send them in," he said. The door opened, and 3 floating containers entered. Each held a swirling purple mist. The Nebulon representatives. Their translation devices hung below each container. Chairman Zorthax, the lead container's voice box, said, "We have come to demand new terms for our resource-sharing agreements." Demand. Zorthax's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "The Nebulons do not make demands." "We do now," the voice box replied. "For too long, we have given the Council access to our gas giants, but received little in return. If humans can seek better treatment, so can we." After they left, Zorthax called an emergency meeting. The Council was falling apart. They needed to respond to the human withdrawal quickly. Meanwhile, far from Earth, Captain Greg Howard stood on the bridge of the Explorer, the first human ship equipped with Dr. Wright's new FTL drive. His crew of 15 was ready for their mission, to go beyond Council-approved space. "All systems ready, Captain," said his first officer, Lisa Rivers. "The Pathfinder drive is online." Greg nodded. "Take us out. Full power." The ship hummed as the new drive activated. The stars outside the viewscreen blurred, then changed pattern completely. They had jumped farther in one moment than any human ship had ever traveled before. It worked. Lisa's voice was full of excitement. "We're in the Vega sector. The Council said this route was impossible due to gravity distortions." "Let's see what else they lied about," Greg said. "Begin scanning for planets and resources." Over the next week, the Explorer charted 7 star systems that weren't on any Council maps. They found 3 planets rich with rare minerals, and 1 with signs of ancient ruins. Greg sent regular reports back to Earth, using the new quantum communication device Dr. Wright had developed. On the 8th day, as they entered a new system, the ship's sensors detected something unusual. "Captain, there's a vessel approaching," Lisa said. "It's not using any Council recognition codes." Greg tensed. "Defensive systems online. Prepare for—" "Wait," Lisa interrupted. "They're sending a message. Audio only." Greg nodded, and Lisa played the message through the ship's speakers. "Human vessel," said a musical, flowing voice. "We have watched your journey with great interest. We are the Vexari. Like you, we once left the Council, long ago." Greg looked at Lisa in surprise. The Vexari were mentioned in old Council records as a highly advanced species who had mysteriously disappeared 500 years ago. "This is Captain Greg Howard of Earth. We would be honored to meet with you." 3 hours later, Greg sat across from a tall, silver-skinned being in the Explorer's meeting room. Clara, the Vexari ambassador, had a face with no visible mouth and large, deep eyes that seemed to change color with her mood. "Your species has shown remarkable courage," Clara said. "The Council has ruled through fear and control for too long. They keep advanced technologies from younger species, claiming it is for their protection. In truth, it is to maintain their dominance." "We discovered that the hard way," Greg replied. Clara's eyes shifted to a bright blue. "We have been watching Earth since your withdrawal. Your Dr. Wright's discoveries are impressive, but they are only the beginning of what is possible." She placed a small crystal on the table. "This contains information about technologies the Council has hidden for thousands of years. We offer it as a gift, and as the beginning of an alliance between our peoples." Greg looked at the crystal, then back at Clara. "Why help us?" "Because the galaxy is changing," she said. "What your Commander Nelson did has created a ripple effect that cannot be stopped. And when the Council falls, as it surely will, something new must take its place. Something better." Greg sent an urgent message to Earth that night. The game had changed again. Humanity had found its first true ally among the stars. 6 months had passed since Earth left the Galactic Council. The people had adapted to their new situation with typical human creativity. Fields that once grew flowers now grew food. Empty buildings became hydroponic farms. Children learned about space in schools with a new sense of pride. But today, the news wasn't good. Jack Nelson stood in the White House Situation Room, watching the large screen that showed a council enforcer fleet near Jupiter. "They finally made their move," President Taylor said. 6 months of silence. And now this. The screen showed 20 large warships. They had set up a blockade at the main jump point Earth ships used to reach the outer colonies. Defense Secretary Linda Hoffman pointed to the largest ship. "That's Admiral Dex Moore's flagship. He's the head of the Taurelian Empire's forces. The Council is sending their best." "What are our options?" asked the President. Dr. Wright, who now had a seat at all high-level meetings, spoke up. "We have 30 ships with the new Pathfinder drives. They can use routes the Council doesn't know about to bypass the blockade." "That works for military vessels," Jack said. "But what about our merchant ships? We need those supply lines." Just then, a young officer ran into the room. "Madam President, we're receiving a transmission from the Liberty Star. They've been intercepted by Council forces." Everyone turned to the screen. The Liberty Star was a merchant vessel under Captain Kate Donovan. It was returning from the Mars colony with critical medical supplies. The screen switched to show Kate's face. She looked calm despite the situation. "Earth Command, this is Captain Donovan. A Council warship is demanding we stop for inspection. They say all human ships are now subject to Council embargo. Requesting instructions." President Taylor looked at her advisors. "We can't let them establish this precedent." "The Liberty Star has the prototype shield system," Dr. Wright said quietly. "Kate knows how to use it." The President nodded and turned to the screen. "Captain Donovan, you are authorized to protect your ship and continue your mission. Godspeed." 2 hours later, the Situation Room was filled with cheers. The Liberty Star had not only escaped the Council ship, but had damaged it in the process. Captain Donovan's report came in with video showing the Council vessel firing on the seemingly defenseless merchant ship. But when the shots hit, they were absorbed by an invisible shield. The Council had no idea humans had developed this technology. Kate had then fired a single warning shot that disabled the Council ship's main drive, leaving it stranded but with life support intact. Her final message to the Council ship had been simple: "Tell Admiral Dex Moore that Earth ships will not be stopped." That evening, Jack walked through a local market in Washington. Despite the blockade, people seemed in good spirits. A woman recognized him from the news and gave him a free apple. "My son is with the Mars Defense Force," she said. "He tells me we're doing things now the Council said were impossible. Is that true?" Jack smiled. "Yes, Mom. Turns out we're better than they ever gave us credit for." As he continued his walk, Jack passed a community center where people were learning to repair and repurpose old tech. In a park, farmers were teaching city folks how to grow food in small spaces. Everywhere he looked, he saw people adapting, working together, finding solutions. His phone buzzed with a message from Linda. "Vexari Ambassador Clara has arrived. Meeting tomorrow at 800. Jack looked up at the night sky. The stars seemed different now. Not distant points of light controlled by the Council, but possibilities. New worlds to explore. New allies to meet. New chances to show what humans could really do. The Council thought their blockade would break Earth's spirit. They were about to learn how wrong they were. When backed into a corner, humans didn't give up. They got creative. And that was something the Council had never truly understood. Ambassador Clara of the Vexari moved through the White House gardens with silent grace. Her silver skin caught the morning sunlight. Jack walked beside her, still amazed that this advanced being wanted to ally with humans. "Your people adapt quickly," Clara said. "In just 6 months, you have found ways around the Council blockade." "We had good teachers," Jack replied. "The crystal of knowledge you gave Captain Howard has helped us leap forward decades in technology." Calera's eyes shifted to a warm gold color. You were already on the path. We merely removed some obstacles. They reached a small building at the edge of the garden. Inside, Dr. Wright waited with President Taylor and Defense Secretary Hoffman. On a large table sat what looked like a mesh of thin wires and small crystals. The quantum mesh is ready for testing, Dr. Wright said. Calera moved closer to the device. You have built it perfectly. Dr. Wright smiled. With your help, yes. But we added a few human touches. She pressed a small button, and the mesh began to glow with soft blue light. A holographic display appeared above it, showing dots of light scattered across what looked like a map of the galaxy. Each light represents a communication node, Dr. Wright explained. With this network, we can talk to anyone in the galaxy instantly, completely outside the Council's monitoring systems. How many allies have joined the network? Calera asked. Linda stepped forward. 7 so far. The Solari Federation and the Dracon Collective were the first. They'd been quietly trading with us despite the Council's embargo. More will join, Calera said. The Council's heavy hand has created many enemies over the centuries. Just then, a red light began to flash on the mesh. Dr. Wright touched it, and a voice filled the room. This is Major Frank Carter at Europa Outpost. We are under attack by Council forces. 3 warships. They claim we are harvesting forbidden resources. Jack looked at President Taylor, who nodded. Send help immediately, she ordered. Linda was already on her comm device, ordering the nearest Earth ships to Europa. The outpost has our new shield technology, she told the others. They can hold out until help arrives. Later that day, they gathered again in the Situation Room. The attack on Europa had been repelled, but something unexpected had happened. Major Carter sent us this, Linda said, playing a video on the main screen. It showed Council troops breaking into a lab on Europa. They were carefully collecting samples from tanks filled with blue liquid. One officer was heard saying, "Hurry, get the compounds before the humans realize what they have." Dr. Wright stepped closer to the screen. Pause it there, she said, pointing to labels on the tanks. Those are our deep-sea bacterial cultures. We've been studying them for possible medical uses. Calera's eyes turned a deep purple. The Council has been harvesting Earth's ocean bacteria for centuries. They are essential components in their life extension treatments. This is why they classified Earth as a developing world, to keep unrestricted access to your resources. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Council hadn't kept humans out of galactic society because they thought humans were primitive. They had done it to exploit Earth's resources without having to pay for them or share the benefits. We need to tell everyone, Jack said finally, not just on Earth, but all Council species. Dr. Wright nodded. The quantum mesh can do that. We can broadcast the truth to every world in the galaxy. President Taylor stood. Do it. And send this message. Earth invites all species who have been exploited by the Council to join us in creating a new galactic alliance based on mutual respect and fair exchange. 3 days later, the quantum mesh lit up with responses. First dozens, then hundreds of worlds responded. Many had similar stories of Council exploitation. Some had technologies they had hidden from the Council. Others had resources they had been forced to sell at unfair prices. Jack watched as the mesh glowed brighter with each new connection. The Council's attempt to isolate Earth had backfired completely. Instead of breaking humanity, they had created the very thing they feared most, a united front against their authority. This is just the beginning, Calera said softly beside him. The Council has ruled through deception for too long. The truth is a weapon they have no defense against. 3 years had passed since Earth left the Galactic Council. The galaxy looked very different now. Jack Nelson stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, Earth's new diplomatic hub in orbit. Below him, the blue and green of Earth shone in the sunlight. Above, ships from 15 different alien civilizations docked at the station. Quite a view, isn't it? Said Linda Hoffman, joining him at the window. She had retired as Defense Secretary last year, but now served as Earth's chief diplomat. Hard to believe how much has changed, Jack replied. 3 years ago, we were alone. Now look at us. The station buzzed with activity. Representatives from the Arcturian Conclave and the Proxima Coalition had arrived that morning to formally announce their withdrawal from the Council. They were the 9th and 10th major civilizations to leave in the past year. The latest reports from our spies say Zorthax is facing a no-confidence vote, Linda said. Seems that leaked document about human cognitive abilities really upset the founding species. Jack smiled. The document had been discovered by Captain Howard during an exploration mission. It proved that Council scientists had known for decades that human intelligence equaled or exceeded that of the Council's oldest species, yet they had suppressed this information to justify keeping humans from advancing too quickly. How is the Orion Accord coming along? Jack asked. Final draft is ready for signing tomorrow. 15 species, including us and the Vexeri. Open scientific exchange, mutual defense, fair trade agreements. Everything the Council claimed to offer, but never delivered. A young aide approached them. Commander Nelson, Captain Howard's ship has returned from the Arcturus expedition. He says they found something important. An hour later, Jack sat in the station's conference room with President Taylor, Dr. Wright, and Clara. Captain Howard stood before them, looking tired but excited. We found these ruins on a planet in the Arcturus system, he said, displaying holographic images of ancient stone structures. According to our dating methods, they're over 50,000 years old. Dr. Wright leaned forward. And you think they're connected to humans? Greg nodded. The writing on the walls is similar to ancient Sumerian. And we found this. He placed a small object on the table. It looked like a metal disc with strange markings. It's a star map, Clara said, her eyes turning a bright silver. It shows Earth's location, marked with a special symbol. The symbol of the progenitors. The who? President Taylor asked. Clara touched the disc, and it projected a holographic image of the galaxy. Certain stars glowed brighter than others, connected by lines. The progenitors were the most advanced species in the galaxy's history. They seeded many worlds with life, including their own kind. Then they vanished about 100,000 years ago. The Council has hidden their existence, fearing that younger species might try to find their technology. Are you saying humans are descendants of these progenitors? Jack asked. Not just descendants, Clara replied. Based on genetic data we've gathered, humans may be their most direct living relatives. This is why the Council feared your advancement. They sensed your potential. The room fell silent as they absorbed this information. Humans weren't newcomers to the galactic stage after all. Their ancestors had once been the most powerful beings in the galaxy. This changes everything, President Taylor said finally. If we share this information, the remaining Council species will have no choice but to acknowledge us as equals. Linda finished. Or they might see us as an even greater threat, Jack warned. We need to be prepared for either reaction. As they discussed what to do next, a message came through on the emergency channel. The Council's military arm, now dominated by the Turellian Empire, had launched surprise attacks on 3 former Council worlds that had allied with Earth. It's Admiral Dex Moore, Linda said grimly. He's trying to make an example of our allies. President Taylor stood. Then we'll make an example of him. Activate the Orion Accord defense protocols. Our allies will not stand alone. For the first time since leaving the Council, Earth and its new allies would face the old powers in open conflict. Jack felt a strange mix of dread and determination. The final confrontation had begun, but this time, humanity wasn't fighting just for itself. It was fighting for a new vision of what the galaxy could be. Admiral Lisa Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship, Defiance. Around her, officers worked at their stations with quiet focus. Through the main view screen, she could see Earth, beautiful and blue. Beyond it, nearly 100 ships from the remaining Council forces approached. "Admiral, all Orion Accord ships are in position," her second-in-command reported. Lisa nodded. "Send one last message to Admiral Dexmore. Tell him we are willing to talk." The reply came quickly. "There is nothing to discuss. Earth and its allies will submit to Council authority or be destroyed." Lisa sighed. "So be it. All ships, activate phase shields and prepare for battle." The largest space battle in recorded history began minutes later. The Council ships fired their powerful weapons, expecting to cut through Earth's defenses easily. Instead, their shots hit the new phase shields developed by Dr. Wright and seemed to vanish into nothing. "They can't hurt us," one young officer said with amazement. "Don't get overconfident," Lisa warned. "Those are still the most powerful ships in the galaxy. Our shields won't hold forever." The Earth ships and their allies fought with perfect coordination, thanks to the quantum mesh network that linked them. They moved as one force, protecting each other, focusing their attacks on key Council vessels. On Earth, in a heavily protected underground facility, Dr. Wright stood with President Taylor and Jack Nelson. Before them was a control panel covered with ancient symbols. "Are you sure this will work?" the President asked. Dr. Wright took a deep breath. "The Vexeri helped us decode the progenitor technology we found. According to Clara, this should activate the planetary defense grid that's been buried on Earth for thousands of years." "And if it doesn't?" Jack asked. "Then we hope Admiral Rodriguez can hold the line," Dr. Wright said quietly. She pressed her hand against the panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ground began to shake slightly. Across Earth, in deserts and mountains, under oceans and ice caps, ancient machines that had slept for millennia began to wake up. In space, the battle had reached a critical point. The Earth ships fought well, but the Council forces outnumbered them. The Defiance shook as a powerful hit finally broke through its shields. "Damage on decks 4 through 7, an officer reported. Admiral Dexmore's voice came through on an open channel. "You have fought well, humans, but this ends now. Surrender, and some of your people may be allowed to live." Lisa was about to respond when something strange appeared on her screens. Hundreds of small objects were rising from Earth's surface. "What are those?" she asked. Her science officer looked up from his station with wide eyes. "They appear to be automated defense platforms, very advanced. They're activating all over the planet." The ancient progenitor defense system had awakened. Small golden objects rose into orbit around Earth. They began to emit pulses of energy that somehow passed through the phase shields of the human ships while disabling the Council vessels one by one. In just minutes, the mighty invasion fleet was left powerless, drifting in space. Only Admiral Dexmore's flagship still had power, protected by its advanced systems. "This is impossible." Dexmore's voice came through again, shaken now. "How did you activate progenitor technology?" "The Council erased all knowledge of it centuries ago." Lisa looked at her crew, then back at the screen. "Perhaps you shouldn't have underestimated us." Hours later, in the Defiance's secure holding cell, Admiral Dexmore sat across from Jack Nelson and President Taylor. The once proud Taurelian commander looked defeated. "You must understand why the Council feared humans," he said. "The progenitors nearly destroyed the galaxy once before with their advanced technology. When we realized humans might be their descendants, the Council decided you needed to be controlled." "Controlled?" Jack asked. "You mean exploited and lied to?" Dexmore looked down. "There is more you don't know. The progenitors didn't just vanish. They were fighting something. Something that came from beyond the galaxy. We call them the Void Ones. The Council has been suppressing technological advancement for millennia because we fear drawing their attention again." President Taylor and Jack exchanged glances. This was unexpected information that changed everything they thought they knew. "If what you're saying is true," President Taylor said, "then perhaps it's time for honesty instead of control. Earth and its allies have proven we won't be ruled through fear." 5 years after Earth left the Galactic Council, Jack Nelson stood in the main hall of Unity Station. The room was filled with representatives from 60 different civilizations. Earth had gone from being alone to the center of a new galactic order. The old council headquarters on Centauri Prime now stood mostly empty. A few species still clung to the old ways, but they grew fewer each month. The Taurelian Empire had made peace with Earth after the Battle of Sol. Even the secretive Xalaxians had eventually sent an ambassador to the new Galactic Confederation. "Hard to believe it all started with you walking out of a meeting," said Captain Howard, now Admiral Howard, as he joined Jack by the window. Jack smiled. It wasn't just me. It was all of us, refusing to accept less than we deserved. They watched as President Taylor entered the room with Clara and Dr. Wright. Behind them came a delegation of former council scientists who had defected to Earth's side. They carried data crystals containing knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. "The Void Ones are no longer just a rumor," Dr. Wright said as the meeting began. "Our deep space monitoring stations have detected signs of their approach at the edge of the galaxy." Images appeared on the large screens around the room. They showed dark shapes moving between the stars, somehow drawing the light into themselves. "What the old council never understood," Clara said, her eyes a calm blue, "is that hiding from threats doesn't make them go away. The Void Ones were always going to return, whether we advance technologically or not." A scientist from the Arcturian conclave stood. "The Council's policy of suppressing technology has left us unprepared. If they had allowed open research and cooperation, we might have been ready." "Then we must not make the same mistake," President Taylor said. "Earth proposes a united research initiative, all species working together openly, sharing knowledge to find a way to defend against this threat." The vote was unanimous. After centuries of secrecy and control under the Council, the species of the galaxy were choosing a different path. Later, Jack stood in his office in the Earth Embassy section of Unity Station. His new title was High Ambassador of the Confederation, though he still found it strange to hear people call him that. On his desk sat the small data device he had used 5 years ago to announce Earth's withdrawal from the Council. Next to it was a piece of the ancient progenitor technology that had saved Earth during the Battle of Sol. His door chimed, and Dr. Wright entered. "The first combined research team is ready to start work," she said. "Scientists from 27 species working together. It's never happened before in galactic history." "Do you think we can stop the Void Ones?" Jack asked. Olivia shrugged. "I don't know. But I can tell you this. We have a better chance together than we ever would have had under the Council. When they faced problems, they hid information and controlled people through fear. We're trying something new." Jack nodded. The path ahead would not be easy. The Void Ones represented a threat unlike anything they had faced before. But as he looked out his window at the ships coming and going from Unity Station, he felt something that had been rare during his Council days: hope. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years now worked together. Worlds that had been stagnant for centuries were experiencing cultural revivals and technological leaps. The galaxy was alive with possibilities. Later that evening, Jack joined a celebration in the main hall. Representatives from dozens of worlds shared food, drink, and stories. Music from 100 different cultures blended together in strange but beautiful ways. Clara found him at the edge of the crowd. "You seem pleased, Ambassador." "I was just thinking about change," Jack said. 5 years ago, I was so angry at the Council. I never imagined walking away would lead to all this." Clara's eyes shifted to a warm gold. "Sometimes the most important step one can take is the first one." As the celebration continued around them, Jack thought about the challenges that still lay ahead. The Void Ones were coming. The future was uncertain. But for the first time in galactic history, the species of the Milky Way were facing that future together, as equals. And that made all the difference.